Yeah. If I die tomorrow, I hope you hear these words. I ain't here to flip no birds, accept no serve. Hope the future generations can get this urge. Stay woke, youngin', and avenge these nerds.
It's Tuesday night.
Can we get a full track for that? I want a full nerd song. Like, is that too much to ask?
Yeah, we do.
The nerd soundtrack.
I'm always here for collabs with Lucyf. You know, I'm here for it. I love the guy.
For those who don't know, that track is by Lucyf. Check out his album, The Agenda. You can listen to it on any of your favorite podcast apps, Spotify. Definitely check it out. Give him like, follow, purchase album, support him. Anyway, we are back Tuesday. Yes, I'm sorry we were not here last week, but we did air a nice episode.
Fine, you guys managed without us, right? One week. We definitely needed it. We needed it so bad.
We did. I mean, I'm looking for, but 1 week was nice, but I'm looking forward to 4th of July. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Right? Oh man.
Ooh, we might just film something special. I don't know. Anyway, let's get into some announcements. So first off, please guys, if you are watching, please subscribe to the YouTube, the Twitch, listen to us on Spotify. Again, help us get those numbers up. We thank everyone already who supports us and everything. Share. Again, without you guys, we would not be here. And again, we want to continue to create awesome content for you guys. Also to podcast announcements. So this Friday, check out Catch the Craze, because you will now see Lo on Catch the Craze. He's doing a guest spot on Catch the Craze.
Yeah.
You ready for that?
So when George sent it to me, he was like, "Oh, my bad for getting back to you so late." I was like, "Nah, like, it's all good. Trust me. I recorded you guys in March, didn't release y'all episodes in November. It's all good. It's like Christmas right now." I'm like, "Oh, I get to hear that back," because I have no idea what I said in that interview at all. So it's gonna be a surprise for all of us.
Yeah, I need to watch Seabass's, and I gotta watch yours, and I know mine should be coming up soon. I think mine's coming up next week, or maybe a week out. I know it's definitely after Loki is when mine was coming out.
So also to continue with these announcements, so we have Mike Lopez from Credit Chat. That is the next creator interview coming out. It's a little behind, guys. Sorry about that, but it is coming out. Again, it was a incredible interview with Mike Lopez. If you haven't checked out in Credit Chat, I recommend check him out as well. Also to Medusa's Cascade podcast. Make sure you guys are checking that out every Saturday. It always drops on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Man, did we just drop one of the wildest episodes?
It gets wild.
It just gets into the wildest arc that we have done so far.
But no, it's getting wild, and it's definitely for those into fantasy and all that. And finally, oh damn, you threw me off right there.
My bad.
It's all good. Yeah, we'll get back into that. Make sure, there it is. Make sure you guys are checking out the Nerds Network. The Nerds Network is in the description. So after the show, make sure you're checking out all the links that is there for all the podcasts and all that we support. Many of them have been guests on the show, which includes our current guest that we're going to bring out, because again, we have them in that network as well. You can now follow us on TikTok. Yes, we are on TikTok. We are on TikTok. All of us are on TikTok. Yes. Maybe not Tones. Tones.
We're there as a collective.
I'm a lurker. Don't worry about me.
And then we have our own ones.
I mean, I think we probably need to do more stuff on TikTok. I think we need to do like actual TikTok.
We're gonna build up that
TikTok.
content 4th of July weekend.
4th of July. There you go.
Oh my God, it's gonna be right.
Yeah.
And then finally, ImbionCon is going virtual again. The 28th and the 29th of August. Save the date. For anyone who is interested in participating in ImbionCon as a creator, Twitch streamer, if you have any panel ideas, send it to connect@imbion.com. So make sure again the con is totally free for all to attend as well as to participate. There will be other options there as well, so make sure you're constantly checking out the site, imbioncon.com. So make sure you check it out. Now, before we bring our guests, first of all, our guest, he has been on the show before. We did a great creator series interview featuring him. He was talking about at the time a anthology that he participated in, which was called Stupendous. He's back to talk about another great anthology that is going on right now. The Kickstarter link is in the description, so make sure you guys are supporting that Kickstarter as well, which is Not So Fairy Tales.
So close to goal, like, yo,
they are so close, and there's still 22 days left for this amazing thing. But before we do that,
it's been amazing to watch all the creators that have come on and been like just crushing it.
Crush it. Yeah, they're less than 2,000 away from their goal.
Oh yeah,
let's do this.
Let's see this
229 backers. Yeah, man, they're doing it.
So let's get this Kickstarter commercial playing.
Hi, I'm John Eddingfield II. You may know me from my other projects, Ransomville: A Sour Beginning and Ransomville: The Rotten Truth. Today, however, I'm here to talk to you about my newest book based on Fractured Fairytales. Now, you may be thinking that it's a book based on Jay Wart's 1960 animated shorts called Fractured Fairytale. But no, there are copyright laws against that. I'm talking about a new anthology published by me, and it's called Not So Fair Tales. Not So Fair Tales is an anthology collection made up of 34 creators working on 19 sequential fairy tale stories. This book contains all your classic fairy tales, such as Rapunzel, Hansel and Gretel, Cinderella, The Frog Prince, as well as many you may not have heard before. Then we warp and retell them for our modern, more sophisticated audience. This is going to be a huge, beautiful hardcover book, 172 pages, with a matte finish and glossy art paper. There's humorous stories, SF stories, romance, horror, and fantastical stories, satires, and tragedies. If you love twisted stories like me, then you need to treat yourself to this beautiful anthology. So jump in on this Kickstarter now, and let's go make an amazing book.
So that was, without further announcement, that was John Eddingfield III, the man behind the anthology. But we want to give it up for one of the creators that participated in the anthology. Give it up for Enrique Lopez. Enrique.
I am here.
Welcome back.
What's up? What's up?
Nice.
You are here. Yes.
Welcome back.
I just woke up, so it's all good.
How's it been since last time we caught up?
And actually, we're closer than the 2,000. We're actually only 1,581 away. All right, so we're only about 1,500. Only 1,500.
That's not bad.
And we've got 21 days to go. Yeah, it was
you guys had to kill it.
Extraordinary first day. We did 50% on the first day.
You guys are gonna kill it.
Wow! Congratulations, man.
Then
I hope you guys got some awesome stretch goals planned out because you're gonna need them.
Well, we already have milestones that are based off a number of backers, and we're already crushed through over 200 backers. So we're doing that already. I believe it's down here. Let me go there quick. Yeah, the very end we see they're like, we're there. A lot of the artists and writers of the group have donated and given their comic books to be allowed here. So already again, so if you're already pledging and backing, once you get the even if you go digital or physical, you will be getting this bundle. The bundle gives you right now 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 9 extra comic books on top of the anthology. That's for the 200. We make it to 250, which are probably going to be based off the numbers. You'll get another set of 3 comics, including the Ichabod Jones by Russell Nolte, right in there. So some really good books are coming down the line, especially if we could get to 300 backers. And once we get to the stretch goals, there are a few interesting things in there. Now, the whole idea for John wanted to make sure that all these stretch goals were to fit in the same kind of box that is the setup for the book, because so many times you see these stretch goals and all of a sudden they're like different sizes, or you get little pins and it's like all of a sudden you open up this thing, it's like everything's flying everywhere. And a lot of people pack them really well.
Yes.
No, a lot of people pack them really well. I mean, they do. The thing is that because that way it's pretty simple to know, look, the shipping's already included in this, so you don't have to worry about, at the end of the time I have to pledge a certain amount now, and then on top of that I have to pay. No. So if you're in the US, you're going to get it already. So to ensure that's why everything has to be within the size of that box. So it should be really interesting, because I approached him to say, look, I got this great idea for this print. Let's do that. No, it's not going to fit. I was like, okay, well, we won't do that one.
Well,
but it's
No, I was gonna say I had fun on Michael Gracia's show last week on Friday. He got to celebrate a anniversary show, and one of the creators who was actually worked in the book was there too. And we were talking about you on how you were going on this promotional blitz with the book too and everything. And it was just like how phenomenal you are as a person, because you are, again, one of my favorite table neighbors, and two is just like how you're just going hardcore with just when the book and all that. But one of the stories you worked on is called Takeout. You worked with Matt Bucci in this, and I love the contrasting different art styles. It really lends to the story. So tell us, what was the inspiration with writing the story? Because you wrote the story and you're one of the artists in the story with Matt Bucci, and you also had the phenomenal Carlos Manguel do the lettering. So tell us, what was the inspiration behind this story that people can expect?
Okay, look, let me first address an issue you kind of glazed over a moment ago. You said I am one of your favorite neighbors.
Oh, you're my favorite neighbor. You're my favorite neighbor.
That I was your favorite. Now it's like I'm one of them. So I don't know what happened within a week, but apparently I've dropped a notch somewhere. Okay.
It's like when you
put it out there.
It's between you and Mark Franco. Mark Franco brings me beer, so man.
Man.
Oh no, Kike, what is he doing right now?
Blame it on the alcohol. That's
No. Okay. Anyway, look, I'm not gonna let that bother me. Okay. Now, before I go into the story, yes, there is. I appreciate the guys and gals noticing my efforts, because one of the things I decided early on when I got invited to do this, that I said, look, I knew this was going to be a book that is not going to be extraordinarily economical. We knew that it was going to be a 172-page hardcover. So I thought that the best way to make sure we hit early numbers was to go out aggressively and promote it even before. And we had a preview. We had a lot of stuff ready. I had my own story. So I went on I did my shows. I've been doing stuff, but pushing it all over the place, getting people to read it and look at it. So, I'm not saying that it was all me, obviously not, but I believe part of that push is what showed up on that launch, that we got almost 50% on the first day. It's because I was on top of it. I mean, at one time I had 2 screens going on, and I'm typing to people, "Hey, gotta go to that pledge." And goes like, "Ding." Okay, somebody, I just did it. Good. You now. I feel like I was Jerry Lewis. Come on, let's go. So anyway, Takeout. Well, Takeout is a funny story. Now, Takeout. I went through a few changes in the artists on my stories. I sent you guys 2. There's a third one I did all myself, except for Carlos in the lettering. Now, for Takeout actually was going to be a totally different story than what it was in here. What I pitched to the guy, what I pitched to John was totally different. And I went up to him and I said, "This is what I want to do." And he was like, "Oh, that sounds really cool." But when I sat down to do it, and I was looking at the Sociales story and all the other stuff, I'm like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. So what else could I do? So I went up to him and said, "Look, I'm going to take one of the aspects of the story I pitched you and use that for this." And he was like, "Perfect, go with that." So once I had that decided, I actually came in and changed artists. Originally, John Muller, who did Jocko, was supposed to be the artist on Takeout.
Oof.
And then I took him out of Takeout and brought in Matt Buttigieg, because the other artist I had spoken to maybe do that story, he got too busy. So I said, okay, fine. And I brought in Matt. He was perfect, because I told Matt, "Look, I'm looking for a Looney Tunes kind of look, and that's your style. You're perfect for it." Mm-hmm. And I told him, "You're going to do the first 7 pages. You're going to do everything. Don't give me anything. You're going to ink it. You're going to color it."
Cheyenne says hi.
And and I said, "You're going to do all 7 pages. Then I'm going to do the next final 3." And then I always knew that my final 3, I was going to have Carlos do the lettering. I always knew that from the very beginning. But I was going to leave Matt to do the lettering on his side. But once I saw what Carlos did for mine, I said, "No, Matt, no, you're not doing lettering." Nope, we're going to keep it consistent across the board. Well, sorry.
Can I give?
And he was actually happy about it. Oh,
is it okay to give everyone like a sneak peek of your work and Carlos? And Matt's work. I have right here, so we'll pull this up real quick. And let's see. This is
now the fun thing about this, while we're waiting for that to come up, was that I wrote this.
This was Matt right here.
I started working it. Yep, that's Matt. Matt's all the first 7 pages. Now, I told Matt when I wrote the script, I wrote it basically like I told him, we're going to do it the Marvel way. I'm going to give you what I want to see on the page. I'll let you do it.
And this is
and that's my first page. Don't go further.
Nope, not going further.
Not
going to give it away.
Yeah,
but that was that one right there. And I loved how, like, again, the contrasting two styles. That's what I wanted to show, because that was just. I thought that you guys worked together, and it really helped with that story.
It's also a contrasting of tones too. So, like, you know, because you talk about him being, Looney Tunes, and
it's all intents and purposes. When I knew that I needed it, I wanted the story to have this really jolt when we go from one point to my point. It was all done intentional. I made sure the coloring was absolutely, totally dark, really contrasted. A lot of then I actually talked to Ryan Kraboth, who he did a lot of the coloring for his story and a few others in the book, to give me some suggestions for certain. He was like, dude, all you need to do is just bring this color down, because your way you set it up, it's like I know where my eyes have to go. It's like you're forcing the reader to look exactly where you want them to look at, and it's great. So once I had my part, and then I went back to Matt's, I decided, okay, Matt, you're going to do all this, and we had a few changes of design and a few changes in format, but overall, what he produced was actually what ended up in the final pages. So once I had his story, I had his version of the layouts done. Then I sat down to say, how do I want to talk about? What voice do I want to have here? And that's when I decided to say, okay, let's do a Dr. Seuss sound. And that's why you read it. The first 7 pages are all in rhyme. It's like you're reading a Dr. Seuss book, or reading one of these rhyme. There are a lot of links to many things in the story. You see in the first one of the first panels, you see Acme Security, which is towards the Looney Tunes. There's another thing in there that I know nobody's going to pick up. I put it in there. I don't think even Matt figured it out until I told him what it was. He was like, going to say, why is this character doing that? So this is the reason why. And he was like, really? It's like, that was really okay, I didn't see that one. Well, everything cannot be spoon-fed to everybody,
Yeah, you have
there is some.
You do a lot of hidden stuff in it. That's the thing. It's like it just kept going back.
Even with your last piece that we covered with you, like purposely put in a lot of like Easter eggs for, even if it was just for you, just so you can like have a smile back.
Yeah, there was one thing I didn't.
And there's some Easter eggs.
Yeah, there was one thing I didn't want to give away, in that was like, oh, okay, there's gonna be a big thing that happens at the end. When you did it, I was like, dude, it was dope. I was like, okay, this is one of my favorite stories right now.
I don't know if we covered, but how did you get involved in the project? I
was concerned when I wrote if people were going to pick up, because I believe, like Stephen King, I'm a Ray Bradbury fan, all this kind of stuff, that you can't cheat the reader. So if something pops up at the end and go like, all of a sudden this happened, you go like, where did that come from? And you go back, you don't find any hint of it anywhere or nothing. You go like, you kind of feel a little cheated. So I always try to make it feel like, well, it was always there. You can find them little hidden areas. I mean, in this story, I give you a lot of clues along the way, what's going to happen, and even in the rhyme, if something's going on.
But even how
there are moments even the way some characters speak, it's the thing is that there is no voice for the first 7 pages. On those 6 pages, on those first 5 pages, there's no voice. Everything's internal monologue. We're hearing the story being told by a third person. And when we finally hear a voice, we don't actually hear. You read it, it's like there's something off. And I made a few changes in the way certain things are said that I hope that people will go like, that doesn't sound, why is that feels really weird?
Well, I'm gonna Gonna interrupt you on that case.
Hopefully that'll come through. I mean, from what I've heard from people who have read it, nobody expected what happens at the end. They're like taking like, what?
Well, Law has a question for you.
If you know this, if you know the story on which it's based, it shouldn't be a surprise. So that's what I'm thinking. Like, really, I mean, if you know the story, see, people forget that fairy tales in their origins were not really something to go like, oh, they live happily ever after. No. They were not that kind of stories. And then that's why this project was so much up my alley, because I knew I can go all out and not have to worry about, oh, there's got to be nicey Smurfyville, no, not necessarily. Now there is a few stories in there that aren't going around in that area, in that tone, but I think Takeout, and there's one more story with Frida that we really skirt that line. I towed the line really close to that edge of saying, okay, we're going to show too much or not, and John and I debated a lot. I mean, it got to the point that I was like, do I do this or not? And we were really discussing it. Can you let me do this? Oh, yeah. And I was trying to show them there is a reason why I'm doing each scene. Every panel has a reason. I'm not throwing it out there for the heck of it, So there is, and there's things I'm telling you, people are not going to figure it out. They'll figure it out later, or if I tell them, go like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Because those first two panels on the page after the wolf sees what's like, he's this big face of the wolf. Those first two panels are a wink to a favorite movie of mine. So maybe people will pick it up, maybe they won't. But if they look really carefully and they look at the way the position of the character, how the character is dressed, you start going to the minds of what's going to happen at the end of the story, and you're like, wait, this happened. Let me look at that panel again. Oh, I know what that is from. So it's always, you're always going to find something of mine winking at something aware and stuff. That's why Jocko was so much fun for me, because Jocko is my ode to 80s and 90s movies. That's why the title is the way it is, the way that there's things going on in the story. So these two was Jocko and Takeout were the ones I was really playing off. Socialis is a straight up story that is very personal to me. And that one I didn't send you guys. I'm gonna try to keep that one under wraps a lot, because it's one of the stories that took me a long time to write. I looked at it the other day to make sure I had 7 different drafts, because I could never find the right way to get there. I knew the cadences. That story is written as a song almost, as trying to get in movement, to give movement to it. And it's one of those things, I'm very privileged of where it was put. It's the second to last story of the anthology. And the next to last story is by Brent Fowler and Cesar Gutierrez, which looks like a Gilby movie. Studio Gilby. It looks so fantastic. So mine goes before that one. I'm like, okay, you see my stuff. Whoa, look what is here. And that one is just fantastic. I mean, the level of artists and writers that we have here is off the chain. And I think that's pretty much why
what's up, George?
Been so successful in our.
What's up, George? We were just talking about
in the Kickstarter. Hey, George Jorge. I think that's why we were really good in getting a lot of people up front. And to be honest, I'm the half full guy. So I'm like, I still think we should have been funded by now. I still think when I consider everybody we have here and their fan base, I thought we'd be done by now. By the time I got to the show, honestly. But it's just a lot of things come into play, sometimes some people are probably holding off to wait for the last minute, which happens a lot. I do that a lot. I put in there, I'll save it for later. And then I wait to see what's going on. Oh, okay, now I'll do it now. I don't have time. Now I have time to sit down and look at it. So, but it is a really really great project. I'm so proud to be a part of it. It's just that next step of my evolution as an artist,
Yeah, definitely. And one thing I liked about it, what I found about your Kickstarter is you guys give a preview So you go to the Kickstarter, you can just read like a 40-page preview. So that, and I thought that was really interesting. They kind of give people a taste of what they potentially could be getting themselves into. Were the artists a part of that decision, or was that kind of just a creative decision that came up from up top?
That was John from the very beginning. John wanted to do the preview. Now, I did not know they were actually going to be complete stories, which made a lot of sense in that you give the people a really solid taste of what's coming on in full. Thank you, Jorge. By doing that, and actually the stories that were in there were not like the throwaway stories, you would think. There's really none. But you have the Angela Odling in there. You have Russell Nolte in there. You have I consider one of the best stories of the book, which is the Brent Fowler and the Cesar Gutierrez one. You have one by my buddy John Muller in there, which is a totally different style from the one he did. So you get this really rich preview, and on the duo from Canada, Kevin Marklow and I can't remember the writer's name. That is absolutely stunning. A story of werewolves and stuff. So you really get a lot of the good stuff right off the bat. Now, you can say, well, I already got this for free. Why do I need to pay for anything else? Well, you could do that. That is a risk when you put that out there. But I think people look at it and go like, well, I think I want to have the real thing in my hands. I think this is going to be something really nice. There's a little something in here in one of the rewards that maybe some people haven't noticed as much, though we have already 10 backers. There's a handcrafted wooden slipcase that's available. Now, this is going to be actually the Not So Fairy Tales logo is going to be handcrafted onto it. It's etched into it. And the book fits nice and perfect inside. And it looks beautiful. That's a little more, obviously. But it is also something that it's like going to be really, really unique. And I already told John I want copies of that for my own. To myself, so I'm going to order a few for me because I want to have it in that case when I give it to my parents, because they're like.
I got a question for you, Kike, and this is a good one because your daughter Marimar is also in this book. She also got her, and you were telling us for this last time that you were on the show. How did it feel to now be in a book with also your daughter who came up with the story, and you were her editor too for this story? How did that feel? Because this book in a way is like also a family affair. So tell us a little bit about that and how that feels as a father.
Honestly, I am still I get emotional when I think of it because when I think of that, my parents have always been very art oriented. They love artwork and stuff, but they didn't want me to be an artist. All right. They forced that, no, go into business, do this kind of stuff. And they really didn't want me to be into artwork. Though when I went to college, I went to a liberal arts school, so I was able to do both. So to have my daughter, who I've been nurturing and giving her the opportunity, saying she wants to do it, and then not only that, you got to understand, she had to go through the process of being accepted. It wasn't like, well, she's my daughter, you're going to take her. No, he said, no, we're going to evaluate her. We're going to check it out and make sure she's good. I'm like, okay. And I also wanted that. I don't want her to like just go coast it in off on me. I have no problem doing that. But I know for her, the way she is, she wanted to get in herself. And she did. And it's a story very unique to her. She did a Cinderella story. She changed it up beautifully. And on top of that, she really put herself in there, literally, because the drawing of Cinderella is her. She did add a few little details, beauty marks and stuff to change her face, but it is her. It is her face. She used herself as a reference, and it's very clearly her. But she changed a few things, like instead of two stepsisters, there's a stepbrother involved. And she brings in all her ideologies and stuff. It's a beautiful ending. And it's one that I spoke to John about. And I said, dude, this is what we got. You understand where the story is going to go. He went like, yes. And we're good with it. Yes. and I am so proud. I'm so proud of John for stepping up to doing it. My other story, Socialis, is also one that I did not think he would go for because it was very strong. But he said, "Yep, I want that one in there too." And but for her, she gave me the editor title out of courtesy.
George is just showing
Thank
his
you,
support.
George.
Thank you, George,
Appreciate
for coming
you.
through.
See,
Can't wait to
George.
see it.
Yep.
And make sure you open your wallet
And,
for that Kickstarter. Links in the bottom.
And she gave it to me basically because what I did with her was making sure the wordings were right. She was using the right wordings, the flow of the story, because she was not used to doing a lot of sequential work. She was more into pinups and doing single sketches and stuff. So I had to show her. But when you look at her piece, she has these captions all over the place, which leads the viewer. She drew them all. Most people will go into Photoshop, Illustrator, and create it and just photocopy it a bunch of times. No, she did every single one by hand because she wanted to make sure that it would roll around the canvas, go behind the pictures, go around panels. She can curve it around. So she really did a lot of work. And to the point that we ran out of time for the deadline. We were not ready. It was not going to be ready. She had finals going on and stuff like that. And people forget she's 17. And so I was like, yeah. So I told John, she's not making it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the backgrounds.
Okay.
So I'm going to go in there and do the backgrounds to help this thing go. And John said, no. I said, what? No. Your style is too different. No. I'll give her a day or two, an extra few days, and let her finish it.
That's a good
Let
call.
her do it. And in his words, her artwork is too good. I love the way it looks. Let it go. But anyway, I ended up doing something anyway. She ran out of time anyway, even with the extension. So I ended up doing the castle for the ball. I actually drew it, and she came in and actually drew it on her artwork in digital. I don't draw digital, so I actually had to draw it digitally. And she came in and she says, "Oh, I don't like that fence you did. I'm going to put that. I'm going to do something else." And I said, "Well, it's your story. You can do whatever you want. I don't mind." So it moved it on ahead. So I'm very, very proud. There are moments in there that I look at it and I just say, for somebody who's just starting out, there is so much emotion that she's able to convey in her characters on that page. There's one page that I actually wept when I read through it on the final reading because I thought she did it. She got it. I feel it. I can feel these characters in this moment, how big this moment is. And I was so proud of her for being able to do that because I look at my own stuff and I'm like, sometimes I don't even I can't even get there. And she effortlessly got it there.
Well, you look at it this way. You've worked on 4 stories in there because, again, we're going to include her because you were the editor on her story. And it's great to see, again, the artwork because you do get a little bit of a preview on the Kickstarter page of her story, like one page there, the 3 stories you worked on. But explain to us, explain to everyone out there, how is it working with the talent that you got to work with on each and every of these stories, including your daughter? I mean, we already heard how you felt about your daughter, but let's get into
how do you guys get roped into a project like this on this kind of scale? Because it doesn't seem like there's 1 or 2, crew members. There's a whole squad of
ton of people.
So this is where people, like the other day I was on the show with Michael Gracia, and he was saying, man, I would love to do anthologies, but I can never seem to find them on time. So I told him about a webpage, a Facebook group that is dedicated to anthologies. So I told him, go there and you can watch other people promote stuff. But the real reason was, and I looked for these before while you guys were doing your pros, it's like, everything has worked out it took me like 3-4 years to get to where I am. So I met people like Matt Parton, Matt Butchich, and others before. So I've done stuff with Matt. Now, Matt told me in 2019 about Horrendous. The first volume was Horrendous, but I was too late. So when I spoke to John, he said, no, I'm already done, but I'm going to do one next year in 2020. And he called then when he was going to do it, he says, look, I'm doing a book called Stupendous, which is this one. All right. So he called me up and he says, okay, can you do Stupendous? So we did that. And of course, We all know that COVID came in, and this was supposed to come out in April, it came out in August, and everything, etc. So, but the point is, I was in this book. So when the next time came up to do Horrendous, the second part, then he calls me up and says, look, I want you to do Horrendous. So that's 2 in the same year. But what happens is now in Horrendous, John Eddingfield is in it. And he looks at my stuff. He says, I'm thinking about doing something. Would you be interested in throwing yourself into this one? I'm like, sure. What is it about? Fairy tales. I'm like, okay, but I'm not into the happy. No. It's this project. I'm like, okay. So I sat down, looked at the different options, and I sent him 4 stories, 4 pitches. He accepted 3 of them, which is like, whoa, really? So like, I got in there that way. Other artists were attacked. The same thing. John knows him. He said, Russell, I'm doing this. Can you come over here? Yes, because John has worked with Russell on an anthology. Anthologies I'm starting to believe and understand that they are basically a nice little group. That once you find a good group, you're kind of in there for life, unless you screw it up, And that's how I feel, because right now people have seen me what I've done for Not So Fairy Tales, promoting and doing for the book. Now another writer has tapped me on the shoulder, says, look, I'm doing another one over here. I want you in mind. So, okay, I write. And so I'm writing 2 stories for that one. And they're going to be shorter, not this big things I've been doing. I'm going to do 2 stories in another one. The artist for that one is John. One of the artists is Joe Critelli Jr., because that's going to be a very, very fun, comical, a lot of cutesy looking characters in that one. And then for the other one, I'm bringing in Len Danovich. Now, if everybody knows Len, you all know what Len likes to draw. So, this is like a match we want to do. But the thing is that I told him, guess what? There's no blood in this one. What? So, I'm putting you in a really weird situation. But both of them had approached me after seeing what I've done for Not So Fairy Tales. As artists, they say, dude, can you write something for me? I was like, yeah, these are the stories I want to do now. So they've never done sequentials. So they're going to learn, and I'm going to help them get into the sequentials. But now what happens? Another writer from Not So Fairy Tales, he's going to do another Kickstarter. Guess what? Yo, I want you to do can you do a story for mine? Sure. And you know what? I like your art. Can you do art for me too? I'm like, okay. So it's all of a sudden I'm landing in these gigs because everybody sees me already in these books. And now I'm going to be we're pulling on each other to say, okay, I want you to come in. Like, for example, Cesar Gutierrez, who I saw him do the work for this one, I was so blown away for it. I already told him, bro, I'm going to use you. I don't know when, but you're on like my top list of guys I want to work with. And he's right there now.
Well, so
that's I like the coolness of this anthology.
I like that you talk about that because again, this is the 3rd anthology you've worked on, and everyone we spoke to who's worked on an anthology seems like it's like building a network and everything. And you're talking about like how now that's leading into more work for you and all that. I think that's important for people to hear. Because when you were talking about the Stupendous, that was the first you worked on, then you worked on Horrendous, and now you have these writers who see your style, who also see that now you also have the writing chops, because those 2 stories that you sent us, they're phenomenal. I think they're great. And again, it's like, and then the work that your daughter did. So, how many more anthologies do you like? What would you recommend, or how would you recommend it to an artist who is like brand new to the scene, who wants to work in an anthology? What are some of the things which you recommend to them to get connected with people with to work on these type of projects?
Okay, if you really want to become, well, I think I told this in another shows, or basically, if my lot in life ends up being that at the end of the day, people can say, well, he did, all I end up doing are anthologies for the rest of my life. I can live with that very easily because I'm not locked into any one single thing. They're always going to be something different. So it provides me a big canvas to do whatever I want. Now, if you want to get into an anthology from the first get-go, like I said, there's a Facebook group that Let me see if I can pull it up over here real quick.
Yes, I made the link and I'll share it in the chat.
Then,
no, I just think that is great.
Let me pull it over here.
Can I share one
it's a
more
Facebook
piece
group, and then,
can I share one more piece that you got to work on?
Yeah.
I will not spoil
you got the Jocko one there too.
but this is work that you did with Sigmentor is the colors. You did this with John Mueller, and you were the inker on this one because again, you do some phenomenal inks.
Yep.
And this is from the story Jocko, so people can see that. This is actually from page 1.
Yeah, that was fun.
Page 1's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I like Jocko. Is another great story that again, for anybody who backs the Kickstarter, which again the link is in the description. This is one of the stories that Kike wrote. He is the inker. He worked with again Sigmentor on colors. You worked with John Mueller as the artist. And again, you are a phenomenal inker too, Kike, which I gotta say, which many people have to recognize that skill because you also.
And to be honest, this was not my, this Jocko story was not my favorite inking experience for me because I really left a lot of ink on in the quill and in the ink bot because when I spoke to Sigmund, now that's the thing. This one was what I thought was going to be like the all-star team for this book until I saw everybody else. I was like, well, guess not. But no, because it's one of those things, I got John Mueller, who's already got a lot of experience on other projects. I picked up Sigmentor to do the colors. He did Raven for DC Comics. I brought in Carlos Mangual, who's been doing work for DC Comics and Aftershock and all that kind of stuff. So I thought, I'm bringing in a pro team. This is, this has got to be the top. And then I go and I see Branson, who has his company, The Last Ember, and Carlos and Cesar Gutierrez, and then I saw the Russell Nolte, then the angle. I was like, yeah, we're just one of the group. Yeah, I was like a little bit like, but on the other hand, I was like so happy.
But that speaks to the caliber of what the artists are here.
I would have been really disappointed if my story was the best. I'm like, what's going on, man? Mine cannot be the best.
No, like Law,
I'm trying to find it here.
Like Law said, that speaks to the caliber of the artist that you're working with and all, and the caliber that's in the book. Go ahead, Law.
Oh, that was it. Like it was
the
really
comic
you
book
guys
anthology creators is the name of the group. I'm sorry.
You guys, no, you're good. You guys have such a caliber of artists and such a stacked group that if you feel like you guys came in and you were hot shit and then you saw everybody else and you're like, oh no, we're all hot shit. Like that just speaks to how good the book is going to turn out.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, that this book was very different from the anthologies that I did before, Stupendous and Horrendous, because those are really anthologies geared to showcase local artists. They're not here to do Kickstarter's work. No. These were created to give people who have never had a really published work out there to get an avenue in which to produce it. You can order your own number of copies through John, and I did that. So you can have something to actually say, look, I produced this. This one is different. Not So Fairy Tales was always intended to be a Kickstarter event. It was always intended to be a high quality stuff. Not that these aren't. Okay, let's be clear. These have a good purpose. I mean, this one here is so thick. It's like double side, is perfectly bound. It's like a trade paperback. This was I believe it's 100 plus pages. So these are great books, but there are different reasons for them. So this one is just high topping quality individuals in it. And that's why I'm so privileged to have been in it. It's one of those things that when I look at it, I go wow, this is a great group of people in here. And that will only enhance it down the line, to be part of that group. I was saying comic book anthology creators. Okay, that's the Facebook group I joined.
Do you have the link?
I've been pitching stuff there a lot.
If you have the link, text me the link.
Let me see. I'll put it right here. Okay, copy link. Here we go. Let me put it over here to you. Boom, there it is.
All right.
And through there, I pitched to others. Now, I've been accepted in others, which my daughter has, by the way. I pitched to one called I Like Robots, and they were expecting maybe 20 submissions, and they got like a 200. And that's the thing. There is such a thirst for artists to have an avenue to put their stories out, that it is a massive, the amount of people who submit to anybody who posts a project there. And to get chosen is even harder. So it is one of those things that people need to like go in there with open eyes and go like, okay, and see how you can adapt to each project. Because if you think you just do one story and throw it everywhere, no, it's people will figure it out. People will figure it out and go, no, this is not. You're just throwing stuff at the wall. Okay. I even my first attempt to get into one of the before I got into Not So Fairy Tales, I wanted to get into the anthology for Cleathu is Hard to Spell, which has these. It was a 3rd volume by Russell Nolte, and I proposed a 10-page story with artwork by John Muller and myself, and it wasn't approved, and I was like totally bummed out because I thought this idea was absolutely fantastic, of course. But when Russell came up to me, he says, "Dude, I don't know you. So there's nothing against you. I like the idea." He actually said, "I really like your story, but I wasn't sure about the artist because I don't know him either. So I don't know how reliable he is." And the thing is, like, you have to understand, this is one thing I want to tell people when you're pitching to people you don't know. Okay, not like what I did with John, who I kind of knew, but blind. This would be like total cold call. You're doing like a cold call. Look, I'm sending it to somebody I don't know. The more pages you put in, the bigger the chances you're going to get rejected. Mm-hmm. It's simple, because when you go into an anthology, you look at all these pages here, and let's say you pitch me a story of 10 pages and I accept you, and you crap the bed somewhere along the line. You disappear, you don't deliver on time, the story's garbage, whatever. I have to fill, as an editor, as a creator of an anthology, I have to find out 10 pages to fill in, because I had a certain amount of pages allotted, that now those 10 pages create a gap in which now I cannot fill with anything. Like, nobody has 10 pages ready in the millisecond. Now, if I don't know you and you pitch me a 2-page story, I might go like, wait a minute. I don't know if this guy's going to crap it, but 2 pages I could put in 2 pinups, or I can find somebody a really short stories, or give somebody else an extra page, and I can fill it in. These people don't get there. So the lower the number you do as your proposal, the higher the chances are you're going to get approved. And I proved it the other day with somebody I kind of knew but didn't know him well, but I sent him a 2-pager, 4-pager, both approved. Why? Hey, he can't mess it up. It's like the very few pages. But every time I go big with people I don't know, they're like, they kind of set it aside. My daughter pitched the robot one and got in because she didn't want us to do a story. She told me, I don't want to do another story. Just finish doing this big story. I said, submit a pinup. What do you mean? Just tell them you're going to do a pinup and tell them what it's about. I'll bet you get in.
Sometimes
it's only 1 page, so they can risk it. So it's like, and she did a great job, by the way. She did a steampunk robot in a 50s style ad. Oh, she like went through my gut. Like, I'm used to being advertisers, so it was like awesome to see her do that. 50 styles perfume ad, steampunk robots, and so it's just, I think that's great. So they're actually getting. Well, she actually used it as a homework later. So one of the advantages.
No, but that's fantastic. I mean, again, the anthology is Not So Fairy Tales. That's what you guys have worked on, which is awesome. Again, the link is in the description. Kike, I want to thank you though for coming on. Again, you booked this months in advance because this is we were talking about that last Friday, how you were really pushing out for this. So again, guys, this has been Nerds. We wanted to have Kike back on to talk about Not So Fairy Tales.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
Check it out. Go to the link. It's there. Also, too, if you want to learn more about Kike, make sure you check out the Creative Series episode that we've had him on. He was talking about Stupendous, his work. We showcased more of his work there. He's awesome. And you just came off of PowCon, too. And he is making his rounds at the convention. So if you see him at a convention, make sure you stop by his table, check out his work. And Also, too, Media Man Convention. This is the perfect time to get actual work from Geek. Commission the man. Commission the man.
Yeah, some beautiful. Get some of those beautiful inks.
I did this weekend. I did the Garden State Comic Fest this weekend. It was a 3-day event, and it right now it jumped up to the top of my list. That's the most profitable show I've ever done, and most of it was because people are now coming to me and saying, like, do this for me. I was like, okay. And then I got another person to do that, and another person. And so it's actually expanding a little more, like people are starting to like even even just my sketch work and stuff. So it's really honored. I really love it. And it's just great. And so I'm off for now for shows. I'm not doing another show until July when I'm head over to.
Well, you'll be back. We got you. But anyway, this has been.
Well, I'm gonna take this month and a half off because I have to write 5 stories for anthologies.
You're busy man.
I gotta work. I gotta do work.
Oh, and
I got Horrendous #3 coming up. So
also, everyone,
I gotta get them going.
Check out Kike's links in the description because he also does an online show. So make sure you check that out. It is on there. The links are there. This has been
tomorrow I got Jay Moore on.
Make sure you follow. Again, he has some awesome guests. I got to be on the show too. That was fun. We'll do another guest swap. But again, this has been another episode of Nerds of the Round. We're back. We'll see you guys next week with Loki.
That's right.
And please make sure you are subscribing to the channel and make sure you support the Kickstarter that is in the description. Get these guys above their goal.
It'll be funded before you know it.
Yep.
This has been another episode of Nerds of the Round. This is boy Sebastian.
It's your boy Lo.
Hey, boy Tone from across the hall.
Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you, Jay.